Only the Bulls, only the Bulls, only the one and only Chicago
Doom ba doom doom
Bulls.
doom doom ba doom doom ba doom 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 ba doom 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 ba doom ba boom ba doom 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 ba.
Hello,
Who
boys and
can
girls,
set the
and welcome
court
back to
on
another episode of
fire?
the Running with the
Only the
Bulls
Bulls keep us
podcast.
burning with
We're talking about the
desire.
NBA Finals.
Only
We're
the
talking about what's
Bulls
already been a pretty
bringing
crazy
the
offseason.
title
Adam and Josh at it again, running the audio pick and roll. Joshy boy, how are you?
I'm good, man. It's been a crazy few hours. We actually had, you know, we have the NBA championship. We have, you know, we got multiple trades that went down. Of course, we got the KD trade. We just had two recent trades go down. Jordan Poole obviously getting traded, Drew Holiday getting traded. Some interesting stuff going down in the past. You could say about really the past, 48 hours. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
past you could even like say half week or so. Shoot, I mean the Bulls rumors with the Kobe White offer from Orlando. So yeah, a lot to get to, and we're kind of starting just chronological order. You mentioned it, man. Kevin Durant is the newest member of the Houston Rockets. Uh, I loved this deal for Houston. For Phoenix, it was a little, it kind of felt more like saving face, but given the situation they were in, I don't really hate it for them either. What were your thoughts?
Thought it was fine. I think Houston got the guy they needed in the fourth quarter to be their primary scorer because let's face it, Jalen Green in the playoffs was god awful. I mean, there's no other explanation to it. His performance in the playoffs was unacceptable. As a fan, you know, that's your primary go-to scorer. And I believe he scored over 10 points a game one time, if I'm right about that. He was scoring like 10 points a game, you know, that entire series. So you know, it's just bizarre to me that he was struggling so much in the playoffs. Now you get Kevin Durant, one of the best playoff performers in the history of the NBA, who, can really, when you need him to, can really step up offensively. I mean, one of, if not the most dominant scorer in terms of overall ability in NBA history. You can make that argument. I think there's a strong argument that can be made. He's the best pure scorer in NBA history. I can't really
You
think
make a
of all.
case. It's a short list. It's
It's
like
like
you got to start
T-Mac
talking
in
about
his
Wilt
prime.
Chamberlain, Michael Jordan. I gonna call him a more efficient scorer than Kobe Bryant, and I'll prepare to hide in the bunkers of all the Kobe fans are gonna be mad I said
Well,
that.
he's more efficient than Kobe.
Yeah.
I would put T-Mac ahead of Kobe in terms of like being in terms of
He
scoring ability. I'd put T-Mac in his prime just a little bit higher than Kobe.
That
Just a
just
little.
goes to say he's literally in a conversation. We bring up Kevin Durant, all of a sudden we're bringing up Jordan, Chamberlain, T Mac. Yeah, he's that special. First ballot Hall of Fame without even having to think about it for half a second. I mean, and like you said, the fourth quarter closer. I wanted to put some color on some of the stats you brought up, or excuse me, some stats to color what you brought up there. So Jalen Green, 21 points a game, all right, in the regular season, and he was really good. He played all 82 games, and you don't hate that for a guy who's 23 years old. But then you look at the playoffs to drop from 21 points a game to 13 points a game, and to drop from 35, just north of 35% shooting to just under 30% shooting from 3-point range. And so Houston kind of got exposed. That was a team I talked about earlier in the season about maybe being a sneaky team to come out of the West. Clearly, they weren't ready, but there's a reason that they had such a strong regular season. I think a move like this truly can put them, if not over the top, at least in the Western Conference Finals against the OKC Thunder, who look like they're around to stay as well.
Yeah, I think that this puts them as the second best team in the West. I think, regular season wise, I think you can look at this team and say, hey, they really, made a move that could put them from 50 to, you know, let me just make sure I have how much they won. I believe they won 52 games, correct? 52. They won 52 this year. And I think this could put them, you could definitely win an extra 3 games on that alone. I think that could push them to 55 wins next year, as, a potential 2 seed going into next season. I think this is a really good trade for Houston. For Phoenix, you're getting a young asset, but you need to figure out what you're going to do with Bradley Beal. Let's remember that. They need to figure out what they're doing with Bradley Beal. Rumor is the Bulls are going to be interested in him if he gets bought out. Not in trade. I don't think the Bulls are going to trade. They're not. Listen, I don't like that front office, but they're not that crazy to make a trade for $50 million contract. So I don't think that's going to happen.
It'd
Buyout.
be like trading for a worse Zach LaVine with a worse contract.
It'd be like trading for Zach LaVine's corpse, basically.
I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. Beal did have some good games, but he only played 53, which, that's better than like Joel Embiid, but like this guy's barely playing half a season. He only averaged 17 points a game, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. It's crazy when you consider that this guy was kind of the consensus best shooting guard in the NBA, or at least in that, I shouldn't say consensus, but he was in that conversation not that long ago when he was with the Wizards, and everyone said, hey, Bradley Beal's going to be unlocked when he gets traded. But you always use the term studio gangster. Bradley Beal, man, studio gangster or what?
I think he is, and it kind of shows. Now, I think he was a good shooting guard on a very, very solid Wizards team for a long time, but he was scoring 30 to 30. He was scoring 30 points a game on a team that won, you know, was, to be fair, was a playoff team at one point. I mean, he was scoring 30 a game for a playoff team. So I don't know how much of a studio gangster you can call him, but you can definitely make that argument.
Not a playoff
He was on
team,
that team with
like
Russell
a sneak
Westbrook.
in playoff
Um,
team.
well, I mean, it was Bradley Beal's team, but when Russ was in with Washington for one season, still averaged a triple double, which is so impressive. Um, and yeah, I think, I honestly think that, if you're Phoenix, I don't know what your plan is, but your plan cannot be what it is now, which is to keep going the way you're going. I just don't understand. I would personally look to blow it up. I don't think you're going anywhere. I've thought this for a little bit. Last year kind of proved that that wasn't working. You're going to try and get Jalen Green. I would maybe try. I mean, you can build around Jalen Green and Devin Booker. That's fine. Nothing wrong with
And
that.
I wonder if that's kind of their plan because Booker's 28, Green's 23, and so you kind of like extend your window out a little bit by making a move like this, where maybe they try to get into the playoffs next year. Maybe they're just trying to go get younger. Maybe they would like to turn Bradley Beal into a if they can somehow manage a way to get him off the team, um, turn that money into other young players or something. Their work is certainly cut out for them if they want to do a rebuild, but it almost feels like as long as they have Bradley Beal, they're almost stuck trying to be a middling team in the West until that, and unless they can get off that contract, because you have him, you have Devin Booker, you have Jalen Green. I believe they still have like Grayson Allen, so your whole team's guards. But you might as well go get some forwards and see if you can win some games, because that Beal contract's not coming off the books anytime soon.
No, it's not, and I think that could cause issues. But I think overall, I genuinely think, you know, this this is going to be interesting to see what Phoenix's next move is. Because I don't think that they're done making moves. There are. I don't think there's reports out there that they're gonna make a move for. They're gonna trade Jalen Green. I think they're gonna keep Jalen Green. I don't see a reason to move Jalen Green. So, with that being said, I really think that this is going to be, a very interesting time for the Phoenix Suns. Let's see what they can do in terms of being able to continue to move assets or continue to make trades if they just so decide to do. Hopefully, and I think this is hope. Hopefully, they're going to be better. And I really do hope that they're going to be better than they were last year because they were very disappointing. It was very unfortunate.
I don't think they ever had like, I mean, Tyus Jones, I thought was a guy who made sense to kind of be the floor general, just old school, smart decision making point guard, plays defense, makes shots, had some really nice games for them. But his role was kind of inconsistent last year. They were all over the place. It was a mess. Budenholzer didn't seem to be doing a great job either, frankly. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with Phoenix. Phoenix gets Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, a 2025 first round pick is number 10 pick, a 2025 second round pick is number 59 pick, they get two 2026 second round picks, 2030 second round pick via Boston, and a 2032 second round pick. KD joins the Rockets, and for Houston, it's just a hand in glove fit as far as what they want to do on offense. Truly a missing piece to be added in KD. Long, athletic, not as athletic as he used to be, but still athletic. He's turned into a better defender. You're going to be able to see him really play 2 through 4. For the Rockets, depending on what they want to do. Can't wait to see what he kind of does with Jabari Smith, and if he's able to maybe tutor Jabari Smith. I feel like he's kind of that X factor if Houston really does break out next year. I think that, well, we know that Alperen Şengün is on his way to becoming one of the best centers in the world. You have some really great young pieces, and now you throw in this veteran who could help you legitimately chase a championship. But I just look up and down that roster where we'll see what happens with Fred VanVleet, but like I hope he's back. So you have like VanVleet, Amen Thompson, Jabari Smith. I like that they re-signed Steven Adams. I think he's really important to prevent teams from making them uncomfortable. They were able to also use him to overpower the Warriors at times with sheer size, having Şengün and him out there together. But just love the move for the Rockets. Just a embarrassment of riches.
I agree. I definitely agree. And it's going to be fun to see them next year.
Let's quickly just read off a couple of trades that have went down since. I was interested to see I guess I don't really get it. You know, you're just talking about it. Like, what are the
Which
Pelicans
one? The
doing?
Anthony Simons trade or for Drew Holiday or the
Just
CJ?
either one. Go ahead and read her off.
Drew Holiday goes to Portland for Anthony Simons and 2 second-round picks. Why you're giving up 2 second-round picks to giving them to Boston is kind of beyond me. I mean, I think it would be the other way around because you're taking on Drew Holiday, you're taking on even more money, and a guy who's 10 years older than Anthony Simons. Anthony Simons, a very, very good scoring guard that just gives more firepower to a team that already has a ton of firepower. So he's not he's not a great defender, but this is a very interesting move. And let me just look at his contract really quick. You
Speaking
know,
of contract, getting rid of that Holiday contract is a massive win. Like
well, it
I see
saves him a
this
bit of
move
money.
more.
So I think he was getting paid 35, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah, 33 and a half. Yeah, 4 year, 33 and a half. They
yeah,
saved
you're saving
$72
about
million that they owed to him.
So you're saving quite a bit of money with this trade, and then they're going to have to trade Porzingis. That's what the reports are. They're going to trade Porzingis next. My guess is that he'll be traded probably within the next month. So this helps them save money. It's a good measure. The question is, okay, you saved a bunch of money. How much defensively have you taken a hit with trading Drew Holiday? We will see. But you still got a great backcourt with Jaylen Brown. You've got a great with Anthony Simons. You can play Jaylen Brown. You're going to play Jaylen Brown at the 3. You're going to play Anthony Simons at the 2, Peyton Pritchard at the 1 as your starters. That's not that bad. That's really
What
not
about
a
Derek
bad.
White?
And Derek, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot Derek White as well.
Derek
So
White is probably literally like I was waiting for you to
you
mention
might put
Derek White. I
Jalen.
feel
Do you
like
put Jalen Brown at the 4 then? Do you go really small then? If
you
you're,
could this next year
I
because
think
you're
that's
gonna
what you're
have to
going to do.
adjust.
And put
Like,
Derek White at the 3. I think that's what you're going to do because Anthony Simons is only 6'3". Derek White's 6'4", 6'5" in that range. So, I think you can go real small. Hopefully,
like it's
you can take
interesting. I
Al
think
Horford
that
to come back another year. I don't know if Al Horford's going to come back for another year.
yeah, and then it's how healthy is Kristaps going to be?
Well, he's getting
Sam
traded.
Hauser has really stepped into a larger role.
Well, the reports are he's getting traded because they are in the hard cap, basically. They're in the second apron, and once you're in the second apron, you have to make trades.
That Porzingis will be traded.
Yeah, that's what reports are. Is that he's going to be traded next.
And that's going to be really interesting. All right.
I mean,
Well, there
hopefully
you
they
go.
get a center back for him. I hope they can.
It's just crazy. I mean, I feel like at this point, like we're not talking legacy, we're talking now. Like Holiday has had a great career, but he's in his mid-30s. He averaged 11 points a game last year to Simon's 19. And they just saved tens of millions of dollars. I mean, this is an unbelievable move for Boston. I don't really understand the move too much for Portland.
I don't get that move at all. I don't understand it at all for Portland. It really confused me, to be honest. You have something going there in Portland. Why would you mess with that? I don't even get that.
Another trade, New Orleans gets Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, a 2025 second-round pick. Washington gets C.J. McCollum and Kelly Olynyk. Is this just basically Washington?
A basketball graveyard trade with a basketball graveyard team. Two teams in the NBA graveyard making a trade. It doesn't really have much relevance. It's a nice trade for both teams, but it's not moving the needle for either team. I don't think so.
It feels like Washington's just kind of kicking the can down the road.
Well, they got $100 million in cap space, so they could be saving for a max contract, but who in the world is going to sign a max contract with you?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
No, I mean, in New Orleans, I think that we'll see what they're doing. With
That's a
Joe
graveyard,
Dumars,
let's
what's
be real.
Joe Dumars doing? But this is a weird trade, man. I don't really get it for either team. I just don't.
I don't really get it either. So, it'll be what it is. CJ McCollum, still a very solid player, on the back nine of his career. I think we could agree with that, but still a very, 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 one of the most serviceable scorers that we've seen in the NBA in the last 10 years, and will still be a serviceable scorer this coming year. Same with Jordan Poole. But is it moving the needle, like I said, for either of these teams who are in the bottom 5 of the NBA? No. And that's about all I got to say about that.
I mean, I think it's just trying to. A big part of it I see is CJ McCollum's an unrestricted free agent, 26, 27, and they're kind of just resetting. But yeah, in Washington, it's like they have mostly sucked for their existence. And so it's a tough look. It's a team that has not been able to gain any legitimate ground.
No, not really. And it's disappointing, especially if you're a Pelicans fan. I mean, it's very disappointing. If you're a Wizards fan, you're equally disappointed in how things have gone with that team.
What do you think about the big one we had the other day? Desmond Bain to Orlando. Memphis gets KCP, Cole Anthony. First round pick, number 16.
Well, this is the Magic's way of saying, let's go for it. And I respect the fact that they're going for it.
2026 first round pick, 2028 first round pick, 2029 swap, 2030 first round pick. Yeah, Magic
Let's be real though. Is Desmond Bain worth 4 first-round picks? No, no, he is not.
I think they're banking on those being late first round picks, but
And that's fine. And that's what I'm thinking too. It's just, even with those being late picks, you could still find a diamond in the rough and it could turn into a nightmare. It could. This could backfire.
Desmond Bain, they need to, you know, this can't turn into an Otto Porter situation, but I don't think it will. You know what I mean? Like the Bulls grab the guy they think there's going to be their 3-and-D solution for years to come, and he's god awful. No, Bain, I feel like, is one of the more underrated players in the NBA. You talk about what he brings on the defensive end. He's a career 41% 3-point shooter. I think that Orlando kind of struggled when they had to have Paolo Banchero, who can definitely lead the team in scoring, but he's really not a great 3-point shooter. This is a battle-tested guy who's in the prime of his career.
My friend, Paolo shot 44% from three in the playoffs.
Did he really?
Yeah.
What was that in the regular season? Because I remember him not looking great in the regular season, shooting threes.
Well, what they got to improve on is they need a third scorer. And
he shot 32% from three in regular season. So small sample size. I still don't think he's a great 3-point shooter.
No, he's not, but he'll get there. And I think now you got Jalen Suggs coming back. They still need a center because Wendell Carter Jr., I'm sorry, he is not your answer at center. He's not.
I wonder if he gets moved.
He might. That's possible. Like, I don't think the Lakers are going to try and pick him up because I don't think he's what the Lakers are looking for. They're looking for a rim protecting big. And Wendell Carter Jr. has averaged 1 block a game, 1 season. It was his rookie year in Chicago.
Let's move on to some NBA finals. Great series. Could have been greater. The Halliburton injury.
That was depressing.
That was really depressing, and it kind of spoiled what could have been. Like, I enjoyed this series, and I give Indiana so much credit, but like it would be like you're watching Rocky, you know what I mean, a Rocky movie, and then like, oh yeah,
it's like watching
Rocky
Apollo die. It's like watching Apollo die at the beginning of the movie.
It's like, first round against the big Apollo Creed fight, and then Rocky broke his hand in the first round. And it's just like, this like underdog story is now screeching to a halt, and you just kind of know that Apollo Creed's going to win. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it felt like for me, where it's like it kind of sucked the air out of the arena. It was just so disappointing. He comes out, guns ablazing, knocks down those 3 trays. He looks awesome, the energy, and then it wasn't all at once, but then slowly the boa constrictor that is the OKC Thunder slowly strangles the life out of that Pacers team. And it was entertaining to watch the first half. But then once OKC said, hey, we're the better team and we're just going to kind of put you away, they were able to do it. And it kind of spoiled the game 7 for me.
Well, if TJ McConnell is scoring all of your baskets in the third quarter, I don't think you're going to do very well.
Yeah, that's a problem.
He's a player. But that was their whole offense, and he didn't even shoot a 3 in that game. He was just going inside trying to get as easy, close to the rim buckets as he could and do the best that he could in that situation. And so, they made the best of it. They did the best they could. It just wasn't enough. I personally think if Tyrese is healthy in that game, they could win that game. They could. They were coming out guns blazing in that game, and I really thought they had a chance. And they were up by 1 going into the half, and it really made me think, oh my goodness, they actually may have a chance here. Now, it's not the way we wanted to see it, but nevertheless, I really think, it's just, I feel so bad because now next season's a wash for you. Let's be realistic here. Next season, you're not going to the NBA Finals without Tyrese if he's sitting out the whole season. And even if he comes back, he's going to be rusty. He's going to need time to get acclimated again. I just don't see them having the same run that they had before. You've got 3 superstars in the Eastern Conference, 3 players on the All-Star team. that blew out their Achilles in the playoffs. That's crazy.
I think like Indiana probably still a playoff team, but I
They can still be
think
a playoff team, absolutely. I just think, you know,
for me, I see them like their ceiling went from like contending for a championship next year to maybe they can get the 4 seed, maybe the 3 seed, but they're not getting one
I'm
seed or
thinking
2 seed.
I'm thinking 6 seed. I think Detroit takes over in that spot, and I don't see them winning 50 games again.
Yeah. Now I think that like there's a lot of teams that are gonna have troubles kind of coming off injuries, whether like you mentioned, the Celtics, all right. The
I think
Bucks.
they'll be okay. I think the Celtics
I think
are
the
still
Celtics are
talented.
going to be okay,
I
but
think
there's a lot of
they're
teams
still
kind of dealing with
talented.
injuries. It makes it where maybe some teams can be higher seeded than they like they're seeded better than their actual goodness. If you follow Orlando, if they're healthy, I expect them to have a lot more than 41 wins, especially after the Dane trade. But
I
yeah,
think a lot of
Pacers.
I think a lot of the reason Orlando was 41 and 41 is because they didn't have Jalen Suggs, and they'll have him back. So I expect them to be a bit better going into next year. I do.
Better than the Pacers, I would say.
I would say they're going to be better than the Pacers. I mean, if you look back at 2023, 2024, they won 47 games, and they were a very, very good basketball team. So let's see what, Orlando can do this year. I think Orlando could win 50 games. I think that's
I could see it.
possible.
I could see it. I don't think they're done either. They're clearly buyers. Um,
Now, if
I
you're Indiana, I think you got a few options here. And I think Lonzo Ball,
Yep, I could
Chris
see that.
Paul. Chris Paul is a possibility. I don't think you go after Kobe White because he's a combo guard and he's not a
I
point
mean,
guard.
they already said no. Bulls already said, oh, sorry for Indiana. No, no,
Yeah,
I don't think that the Pacers would be willing to like I think he could fit their scheme for sure, but I don't think they would be able to, without breaking up their core, get the Bulls what they would require as far as an
I don't
asking
think you have
price.
to break up your core to get what you want for Kobe White. I think, if you're the Bulls, who would you want for Kobe White?
Uh I wouldn't want to trade him.
Say you didn't have a choice.
I would want um an athletic two-way forward. I would want a guy who's like Santi
Yeah, see, they're
Aldama.
not going to give. I don't think so. I think that they're not going to give up Benedict Mathurin. They're not going to give up Aaron
That's
Neesmith.
what I'm saying. That's why they can't afford him.
Right. So
That's
I
why they
think
can't afford him.
Lonzo
Let
Ball.
me tell you my guy. Let me tell you my guy. All
All right.
right. Russell Westbrook makes all the sense in the world. No. This
Eh,
guy, is he going to be Halliburton? No.
work.
Can
Good
he
work.
hold down the fort? Absolutely. He invented this style of play,
Well, he
basically.
could. It's just he's so inefficient.
And that's where like he could be your answer for a year. Like if I was
For a
the
year,
Pacers,
yeah.
I'd be looking at Westbrook and I would do here's your offer, whatever, if they can afford him, what the cap space, what he's even, I don't know what he would be commanding or what he thinks he's worth right now. But I would try to look at it and say, hey, 2-year deal, second year's a team option. Take it or leave it. And I
That could
think
work.
because like he's a fit. He's a fit. I know you and I talked about Lonzo Ball a little bit. Like he's probably a better fit, but once again, we talked about how I don't know how willing the Bulls would be to trade him to a division rival.
I don't think they're going to.
I don't think so either. I don't think so
I
either.
think the Bulls would somehow be. I think the Bulls front office is such a great front office. They would somehow find a way to give up second round picks in that deal just because of the Chicago Bulls front office.
They'll find a way to screw it up. We'll see. What about OKC? Is this a legit team you think could have a
They could repeat.
dynasty?
They could definitely repeat. I think they're going to be the favorites going into next year, and they'll probably be the number one seed again as long as everyone's healthy. Remember, you got to have a lot of luck. You got to have a lot of luck. And, you got to stay healthy throughout the entire playoffs, too. So we'll see. Can they repeat? Absolutely. Are they going to three-peat? I don't want to hear that. There's only been 3 teams ever to three-peat. Only
It's
three.
not like they were like, yes, they won the championship. Yes, they were the best team all year. Yes, they won 68 games, but this got carried into some deep water, man. This is a team that went to like multiple game sevens, like all the SGA, Jalen Williams talk with like, oh, Jordan and Pippen, like those dudes didn't do game sevens. So it's kind of where the comparison ends.
Two
Jalen
game
Williams,
sevens and one finals run. Bulls all time had 2 game sevens in their championship runs. 2 total.
98 against the Pacers.
And 92 against the Knicks in the second round.
Wow.
That's it. That's it. And in that game, I think they won by like 30 points.
I think that the Thunder will continue to get better, but I also think that they could be better in the playoffs. Like I was more impressed overall, but like I expected them to put the Pacers away. I thought that was going to be a 4 or 5 game series.
No, I get what you mean. So, but we'll see, man. Let's see what they do. We're gonna see what they can do.
Well, it'll be real interesting. You think who would you say are the contenders then remaining? Who do we got as legitimate title contenders as things stand now?
I think it's Boston, New York, and Cleveland in the East. In the West, I really think it's just Minnesota, Houston, and OKC until proven otherwise. Maybe the Clippers, maybe the Lakers, maybe.
Interesting. Well, see, I have it kind of like tiers. Like I think that there's teams that are like a move away, or a team that could be like really interesting. Like the Lakers, if they get a big and maybe get like Drew Holiday would be a great pick for the Lakers, right? You know what I mean? Like and I don't know if the money works, but you know what I mean? Like they need some sort of 3-and-D guard who can run either one or two, that's what they got to do to kind of make the LeBron thing works. And they also need a big man. But yeah, you have Luka and LeBron, which makes you at least pretty darn good. But they have a lot of work cut out. I think that the Timberwolves are pretty close to a contender. They're kind of but for me, I think it's like OKC and Houston. And then in the East, I think the only 2 contenders are New York, who desperately needs a bench and now needs a new coach, and then Cleveland, who just needs to be healthier, and I think would have made the championship had Donovan Mitchell been healthy.
You mean Darius Garland?
Well, Mitchell was hurt. I know he played, but he was not right.
Nah.
He was on one foot. He was playing heroic, but like if that's regular season, no way in hell he's even suiting up.
No, that's true. And Darius Garland was hurt too. So, and Evan Mobley was hurt as well. So, I can't give up on Cleveland. I just can't. I mean, that team is so well coached and so well developed. I just think that they're going to be back next year with a vengeance. I think
so too. I mean, I would almost be surprised if they don't make it to the finals next year. Obviously, tough showing to losing 5 to the Pacers, a series they were heavily favored in. You had 64 wins this year. But like we said, man, if they're healthy, and they got to be just so pissed, but they're so much better than like the teams that, if we're looking like where are these teams right now? Boston is without Tatum. Halliburton is without, or excuse me, Pacers are without Halliburton. The Knicks are without a bench. The Bucks are without Damian Lillard. Are the Pistons going to all of a sudden wave a magic wand and bridge the gap from 44 wins to 64 wins? No way. I think it's kind of Cleveland's to lose. The Knicks, I think they could get some pieces where they really fix things in a hurry, but it's too soon to tell. I don't know what's going to happen with the coach search. There's too many kind of variables for me to put too much confidence in that team as things stand right now.
Yeah, and we'll see. I really think it's going to be very interesting to see who comes out next year, but that's a year away.
Now we're going to talk a little Bulls now. before we get into the draft stuff, what do you think about the whole Kobe White thing? Would you have accepted the reported deal?
No.
What was it? Jonathan Isaac, Cole Anthony.
And the reason why
You say no.
Cole Anthony is not getting you anywhere. Jonathan Isaac's not getting you anywhere, and you're getting 2 draft picks in the 20 to 30 range. That's I don't really need that. Kobe White. If I could see the Bulls, if I'm the Bulls, I want a lottery pick for Kobe White. Give me a reason.
Yeah, legit. I'm with you. And I feel like you look at Jonathan Isaac and it's like, oh, let's get another Lonzo Ball on the team. Let's get another guy who should be in the prime of his career, but instead missed 2 whole years of basketball and has to be limited minutes. Like he only is allowed to play like 15, 20 minutes a game. When he's on the floor, he's one of the best defenders in the NBA. But like, absolutely not. I think he has no trade value based on that context alone. Like, why would you trade someone who could be an all-star next year for, it was what, 2 late firsts too? Was that?
It was 2 late first round picks. That's pretty much what it was going to be. And I don't really, and with the Bulls,
like you said, give me lottery, man. Kobe could be legit. He was
and with the Bulls draft history, it's
hit or miss.
They're very 50-50 when it comes to that. It's not like
Kobe's one of the only guys that like I still feel good about as far as like guys they draft. I mean, I like Io.
Gary Reinsdorf will not go into the luxury tax if he does not have a championship contending team. You know this already.
Yeah.
This is a man whose biggest contract he has given out in the history of his own franchise, the Chicago White Sox, $75 million. What is he going to do for the Chicago Bulls? He spends more on the Bulls. I'll give him that. I give him a lot of credit for that. I applaud him for how much money he spends on the Bulls because he needs to. But this man is not going to put extra money into the Bulls if they're not winning. And he's still going to sell out that arena every single night as long as they win 35 games.
I want to read this from the fantasy basketball group chat, and then we're going to talk a little Bulls. But I just saw this come in, and I thought it was funny. Someone is going to need to explain the Pelican strategy to me like I'm 5 years old. Because remember, we're talking about what's the strategy. So shout out to
like I'm 5, Michael Scott.
So here's the reply from friend of the podcast, Gabe. Hey, buddy, you know how you have this whole box of crayons where we just kind of piled them all up since you never really organized them to begin with? Well, your old friend CJ is like this stubby robin's egg blue crayon that doesn't really color properly anymore. Now imagine your friend has this shiny, basically brand new crayon that colors in sparkly purple. Not a very useful or versatile color, but the people who put your drawings on the fridge might like to see something new and exciting. Plus, your artwork sucks anyway and is never going to win any prizes, so you might as well have fun with it. That's a great answer.
Great answer.
All right. We're going to take a quick break, folks. We'll be right back, and we're talking about the Chicago Bulls NBA draft needs, NBA draft targets. We will be right back. This podcast. Welcome back. We did take a short break. Believe us, maybe 10, 15 minutes. Josh, still doing well?
I'm all good. Let's do this.
Living the dream, baby. Bulls. Sometimes dreams turn to nightmares, as they say in semi-pro. You know the part I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
By the way, next time you go to the Bulls game, you're going to bring nachos from home?
Exactly.
I got season tickets. I can do whatever the heck I want.
He's got a point. But yeah, so wrapping things up here, talking little Bulls draft night. It's coming in hot, baby. I don't really know what to expect. I think, Cooper Flagg goes 1. No one had thought Montas Buzelis was going to be there last year. You never know what's going to happen. Like, I would love to get Ace Bailey or Kaman Malawak. I just don't think that those guys are going to be there. What do you want the Bulls to do tomorrow?
I mean, if Ace Bailey's there at 12, you better take him. And if you don't take him, you're a knucklehead. And the only reason
Malawak's there at 12, same.
Yeah, I would agree. Now, Ace Bailey may go lower because of his work ethic and the fact that he's canceling workouts. I think that's a cause for concern. If you're a top 10 team and you're like, well, this guy's trying to push his way onto a certain team, he might. Some people are saying he's trying to push himself to Washington so he can get the max amount of touches that he can get. Now, I could understand that from a perspective of wanting to improve yourself the best. But you want to go to a team that's that bad where you're not going to be able to contribute to a playoff team. I just don't. If I'm him, I don't want that.
And I feel like that would only drop him maybe to like 4. I just
Five
don't
or
know how much
six.
this guy can slide.
Well, according to the latest draft mock draft, they have him going 6 to Washington.
Okay. Because yeah,
So
he's like been a consensus top 5, it feels like most of the year. So it's just weird to see him all of a sudden outside the top 5.
I don't think he's going outside the top 5. We'll see.
We will see. Per Casey Johnson and Will Purdue, I've seen both talking about Colin Murray Boyles is kind of seems to be a big target for the Bulls. Maybe a little undersized power forward, but
No, I
he's
don't think he's an undersized power forward. He plays center. That would make him undersized. 6'7" at center. That's way too small.
yeah. And like ESPN's got him at 6'6.5", 239. Like the guy's strong. They're saying he's like a like from everything I've read, this guy is an elite defender, which is like serious
Yeah,
need for the Bulls
I've
to
seen.
be
I
able to.
saw his highlights. He can play. He can play.
He's a really good defender, but as you mentioned before we hit the red button, not a great offensive player.
I mean, he can score, but he can't shoot. He cannot shoot. And in this league, you better be able to shoot if you're going to want to make it in today's league. So hopefully he can improve.
He really seems to describe himself as a dirty work type player, you know?
It's great, but is a dirty work player really worth the 12th pick in the draft? No.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm worried about Colin Murray
Devontae Green
Boyles.
was a dirty work player, and he was an undrafted player, and he was a great player for the Bulls. He was a solid, role player, but I don't need a dirty
Who'd you say?
Javante Green.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think he's going to be better than Javante Green. I
Oh,
mean,
I
like,
think so. I'm just
because
making
I've seen like the ESPN mock draft has him going 10 to uh with that Suns pick via Houston,
okay.
So he might not even be there, but yeah, he's more of a unselfish, dirty work guy, defensive player. I think he'd be could be a really nice role player. I would just have to see how it kind of like what it winds up looking like. I'd rather go with Derek Queen, the center out of Maryland. Like I've been seeing comparisons, especially when you consider the frame to a guy like Zebo. Queen, I think you could play at the 4 or the 5, but there's no doubt about this guy's size. He's like 6'9", 250. And this dude's a physical freak, a playmaker. Some concerns about his defense. Well, the other guy
Yeah,
we're talking about
Queen's
concerned
not a
about
great
the
defender.
offense.
Queen's not a great defender, and I don't know if the Bulls need another non-defensive big in the rotation.
Well, if he can be like a playmaking 5, he would have to improve his 3-point shot, but he's a very skilled big. And I think that it would be very interesting when you consider what Donovan's tried to do to add a big with that kind of like, I feel like he could thrive in the Bulls transition system as well as being a big man for the future that you can run some stuff through. But I feel like he'd be a project. He's still very young, just a freshman. I feel like either one of the guys we named, it's like one's looks like a sure thing on offense, the other thing looks like a sure thing on defense, and then question marks.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what you're going to get in the draft. You're always going to have guys with question marks. You're never going to get a finished product. Tim Duncan was a finished product when he came out, but he played 4 years. I mean, when these guys are 18, 19 years old, you're going to get a lot of unfinished products. That's
Yeah.
okay. That's all right. Michael Jordan was an unfinished product. A lot of people don't realize. A lot of people forget. When Michael came out of college, he could barely shoot a 15-footer.
Tell you what, though, Queen 27 points against Florida in the game they were, of course, eliminated from.
He shot well from three in the tournament. He shot, he didn't shoot. He 2 games he shot threes, but when called upon, he shot 43% from three in the tournament, and he scored and he played really well in the tournament. So I think in crunch time, if you're doing the things you need to do, that's what I like to see.
I feel like he'd kind of be the guy I'd be most excited about realistically. Like, yeah, if Ace Bailey falls the Bulls, I'm gonna be thrilled. The other guy that I saw, KC Ty, I'm gonna make sure. I don't know how to say this guy's last name. Do you?
It's the French guy, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't know how to say his name either.
All right. Well, why don't you give a shot? Give it a shot.
Let me see because they have him going. I'm sorry, my computer's literally burning my leg right now because there's too many friggin' tabs open. But
Noah Sengu,
uh,
Esenge,
Esengwa? I don't know.
something.
Noah Esengwa? I don't know.
Let's just call him Noah.
Okay, let's call him Noah.
Mm, the French, he's some sort of French phenom.
He is the French phenom.
Yeah, I mean, hey, these European guys are they're pretty good here at sports now. But do you know anything about this guy, or are we both kind of learning about him on the fly here?
We're learning about him on the fly. It seems like I'm gonna let's see what his scouting report says. If he can he shoot? What can you do? And oh, okay.
I see toolsy forward with a fluid handle, dynamic finishing package, and highly versatile defense.
He's
Um,
6'10", 200 pounds. Okay. And he shoots 30% from three. Okay. That's not great. But 6'10". I mean, I'll take the height.
everything's saying like fluid athlete, moves well, versatile defender. So I like all that. But the 3-point shooting needs to get better, needs to get way more consistency. Sounds like consistency in general is
His
something to be
NBA comp
developed.
is Daniel Marshall and Al-Farouq Aminu. That would not be a terrible comp. That's not bad. Daniel Marshall was a very serviceable player in the NBA. So was Al-Farouq Aminu for a while.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I feel like it's kind of like Danielle Marshall. Marshall never turned into, I think, the player the Bulls thought he was going to turn into when they weren't willing to part ways with him stupidly all those years ago. I believe he was in some pretty big negotiations that fell through because their unwillingness. Was it Kobe Bryant?
No, 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 no. They didn't want to give up Luol Deng in that trade.
There was some sort of like Bulls trade, I feel like, that fell apart when Danielle Marshall, they wouldn't give up Danielle Marshall or something.
I think it was a Dwayne Wade trade.
Oh, gosh.
It had to be.
Like a
Or
draft night
that
thing?
John Paxson wouldn't part is no, it's not true.
What's not true?
So Casey Johnson reports that was a myth that he wouldn't part with Danielle Marshall.
Okay, good, because that was hard to fathom.
Can you imagine if the Bulls had gotten D Wade on the? Oh, that would have been with Tyson, Curry. I mean, it would have been so interesting.
Yeah. Any other names you're kind of looking at? I know we talked yesterday a little bit. You brought up that guard from Illinois, Kasparas Jakisionis.
I like him a lot. He's got a very solid step back three that's in development. He can make good plays offensively. He's not a great defender by any means, but he would be your Kobe White replacement. That's what he'd be. I mean, that's what you'd be looking for him to be is your replacement for Kobe White as a scorer.
just feels weird. Like I feel like there's a lot of good guards in this draft, but the Bulls don't necessarily like need good guards. But it would be a bit of a maybe foreshadowing if the Bulls took him. It would make you wonder: is Kobe White on the move?
If I'm the Bulls, he gets traded in February. If I'm the front office, it may not happen because no one wants to trade with you because they can't take advantage. Because the Bulls want it. The thing I'm worried about is the Bulls are going to get taken advantage of in a Kobe White trade. That's what I'm worried about. And they're not going to get draft from him.
And that's like, I really think that, like, I want to legitimately see. I want Kobe to get a chance to pick up where he left off with Josh Giddey. And so I would like the Bulls to either draft a center or trade the pick.
What if you traded Kobe White for RJ Barrett?
Now that would be pretty darn interesting.
I'd be okay with that. I'd be fine with that. That would be an interesting deal.
I think it would be.
Probably got to throw in Javon Carter to make the money work, but it wouldn't. Maybe you throw in a pick swap.
That could be real interesting because then you have Io probably slides in that starting shooting guard position.
Probably.
Yeah, that could be very interesting.
See, I mean, that would be a fair trade, I think. Definitely.
Another French guy the Bulls have been kind of tied to is this Joan Behringer. Very athletic, good size, good defender, ton of potential, but kind of like your classic boomer bust guy from what I've read. He's got a bag, 6'10", 7'3" wingspan. Could be, I feel like, make a impact right away on defense, but like such a project on offense. Really doesn't have much of an offensive game at all. And so I don't know. I guess he'd be someone I'd not be so excited about. I'd rather go with Derek Queen like any day of the week. But I don't know. It makes me nervous taking a guy who is just going to be a bust, like when I hear like Raw, there's like guys who I think like Giannis took a few years to get going and then he was the best player in the world.
Giannis, I remember when I saw him his rookie year, I thought that guy's got some skill.
But for every Giannis, how many Vladimir Radmanoviches do we get?
How many? Oh my God. What was that guy from Brazil? You know who I'm talking about? The guy the Raptors drafted years ago. What was it? Bruno something.
Stundove?
No. Let me look up his name.
I'm talking about that awful Brazilian Bulls big man. I can't think of his name. He was horrendous.
Felicio.
You're not talking about him.
No. There was a guy that they drafted like ages later. His name was, let me see. What was his name? Bruno something. Bruno Caboclo. I remember that guy. This is like 2015, and he never turned into anything. The best season he had was scoring 8 points a game. He never played more than 30 games in a season, 35 games in one season.
Yeah, that ain't it for me.
And he was drafted 20th overall. Now that's a little bit later in the draft, but the point is that you can take a flyer in the second round on a guy who's very raw and underdeveloped. I don't really like taking crazy swings at a guy who's got no game whatsoever. And it's like, as Bill Simmons said in that, he's 2 years away from being 2 years away. I don't need that. You could be 2 years away if you get picked 12th. That's fine. Sometimes it takes guys 2 years to figure it out. That's okay. That's it. It took Giannis about 2 or 3 years to figure it out.
What's interesting is some mock drafts have Behringer going to San Antonio and joining his fellow countrymen.
That'd be interesting.
That would be interesting.
I'm trying to pull it up, but my computer is just, is it burning right now, and when it
It's
burns,
burning his legs, folks. You heard it here first.
oh, there he is. Yes, there he is. You have him going to San Antonio. Yeah, right. This guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he
So,
did good back. So they need a backup center. They do. I
well,
mean,
maybe he's power forward. You never know what you're going to do because Wemby can definitely play some. Maybe they go back to their old Twin Towers thing way back
that's
when,
true.
right?
That's true. That's very true.
Any other players you want to talk about as far as draft prospects for the Bulls? I got one more
I mean,
second round target.
besides Malawak, I don't really have another player that I'm really like, oh my God, I want them to take him.
Sure. Grant Nelson out of Alabama. I think he could be somebody who just, from a pure fit standpoint, could be a great option. Okay, 3-point shooter, but is in a system that's comparable to with the Bulls and kind of who they want to be. Alabama, pretty good defensive team, but has been just a prolific run and gun offense the past few years. Nelson knows how to make an impact as a big man in a system that would be pretty comparable to the Bulls with how fast they do want to play, handles the rock, block shots, can get some steals, good passer. I covered him when he was at North Dakota State a little bit, and I need him to get that shooting. He was kind of one of those guys where, like, if he was on, it was great, but very streaky, and he would need to get closer to a 35% for me to feel comfortable with him kind of like being a floor stretcher, but he could be an interesting project. We always talk about that, like, kind of diamond in the rough in the second round. I think he could be a diamond in the rough kind of guy for the Bulls.
Okay. I like that.
But let's about a trade. I mean, like, that's kind of where I think things actually get pretty interesting. Is I wonder, is this do you think Vucevic is finally gone?
I'm worried he's not going to get traded at all. I think
He's in 48 hours from now. He's still.
I think he just gets. I think he's a free agent at the end of the year, and he walks because the Bulls can't find a trade partner that they like. I want them to trade him for Kuminga. That'd be great, but I'm just not sure that's going to happen.
Yeah, a sign and trade for Kuminga would be great. I feel like
they're going to probably try and go for Porzingis rather than Vucevic.
I was thinking maybe we could see a Porzingis for Vucevic type trade.
No.
I wouldn't like it.
I mean, I'd rather have Porzingis than Vooch in some ways.
I'd almost rather have Vucevic. I just don't know if Porzingis is. I'm so concerned about his injuries.
Me too. I am too. And he's not going to get you more than 18 a game and 5 rebounds.
I think Vucevic. I mean, we brought up the Lakers a lot. We brought out the Warriors a lot. Kuminga could work, but yeah, it would have to be a sign and trade with Kuminga. Makes things a little trickier. If that were to happen, it would have to be. I feel like a lot of that groundwork would have to be already underway.
Yeah, and I don't think that there is any groundwork really that's been laid for it, and I think that's part of the problem.
There's an idea on the Pippen Ain't Easy blog, pretty good Bulls blog. Golden State Warriors receive Vucevic in a second round pick in 2025 and 2028. Bulls get Moses Moody and Buddy Hield. So no Kuminga in that one. I think Hield would be a good fit, but I want a forward. I want someone who's going to fit their needs a little bit more. And Kuminga is that guy for me. He's the target. If I'm the Bulls, unless it really gets to the point where, like, hey, whatever we got to do to kind of get rid of this contract and get something back for him. But I'd be just really hesitant to make a deal where I'm not getting Kuminga back with Golden State, especially. It just seems like we saw his potential in the playoffs. It was weird after Butler went to the team. He kind of got like banished to the bench, but this guy's way better than the way he's been utilized. And I think that he'd thrive with the Bulls.
I think so. Well, only time's going to tell. We'll see what happens.
What are your how do you think he could fit into the team?
I think he'd be good for the run and gun style that we have. I think that would be, he's athletic enough. He can go for lobs and do all these things, but he's got to improve on his rebounding if he's going to be on this, team. And that's going to be a key going forward. You can't average 4 or 5 rebounds at that spot. You got to be averaging 6, 7, maybe 8. I need to see more from that production. He averaged 2.5 rebounds in the playoffs this year. You can't be doing that. You can't look like an animal lost in headlights. You when you're trying to figure out what to do, score, on the offense. You got to be able to play within the system and do what you got to do. But I think he could be a very good fit with his young Bulls team. I really do. It's just keep improving on your 3-point shooting, and you'll get all the minutes you want here in Chicago.
Well, I'm seeing reports linking him to the Bulls and the Heat as
the Heat are in pardon my French, they're in every damn trade rumor. What's the point? I mean, what are you gonna trade for, Andrew Wiggins again? That doesn't make any sense.
And they don't make good offers either. So I feel like the Bulls
can at least give you a center that you need.
Yeah. But the Bulls and Heat are linked to the Warriors, who it almost feels like they are going to do some sort of sign and trade with Kuminga, because clearly he's not in their plans based on the way they used him. And I think that's the team that doesn't care if they get older. They're chasing an illusion,
they're
in my
run
opinion.
The team into the ground until Steph Curry is there.
And they're like a team that, much like the Lakers, maybe they like add a few key pieces and all of a sudden they're a contender again, but like they're not in great position to be adding key pieces. But like if you're the Warriors, you so desperately could use a player like Vucevic, and Kuminga's on your bench. Like it feels like a win-win, similarly to the way that the Caruso trade was a win-win, right? The Bulls get the younger guy, the Thunder get the guy who's more ready to help a team with bigger desires in the imminent future. So I could see it happening, but you never know. It just seems like the Warriors are pretty tough negotiators as well. So we'll see. Any other moves you expect the Bulls to perhaps make, or anything you're monitoring?
Not at the moment. I can't think of anything. No.
Well, the draft's tomorrow night, folks. Enjoy it. We'll be touching base again soon. After that wraps up, we'll see what the Bulls do. I would love for Vucevic to be off the team by the time we next record. NBA Draft 2-day event this year, so it'll be interesting. And we'll see, man. Go Bulls. Closing thoughts, Josh.
Go Bulls.
Patrick Ecstatic on the tunes. Shout out to him. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please leave us a friendly review and a kind rating. We'll see you next time.
Only
Go Bulls.
the one and only Chicago Bulls. Who can fly through the air? Who can get them off their feet? Who can always snatch a victory from the jaws of defeat? Who can play the toughest defense, shattering the score, get Chicago up and rocking, crying out for more? Only the Bulls, only the Bulls, Chicago Bulls. Only the one and only Chicago Bulls. Ay, 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 ay. Ooh, Chicago Bulls. Yeah. Chicago Bulls. Ay, ay, ay. Ooh, Chicago Bulls. Ay, ay, ay. Chicago Bulls.